to the Athletes in Motion podcast, From Race to Recovery, with your hosts, Tom Riegel and Kenny Bailey.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Kenny, how are you?
I am fantastic. I am also very excited to welcome Dustin Ortiz. Thank you for coming to our program.
Dustin, welcome.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah.
I have been wanting to talk to you for a while on a podcast because we just every time we have a conversation, it's been fantastic. So to get people spun up on your background, it's fun. I don't even know where to go. Okay, so you started as a wrestler, went to MMA, UFC. Decided that was boring and decided to become a professional bull rider. That's kind of
long story short. There you guys have it. That's the podcast.
Thanks for coming.
We'll see you next week.
So is that kind of where you're at now, right? So
yeah, and it was literally that easy as well. Yeah.
So let's start kind of back at the beginning. You were kind of a superstar stud, like high school wrestler, right?
Superstar, maybe not so much. Stud, absolutely. Yeah, I was pinning people left and right.
Good. So at what point did MMA start entering the picture?
So a little background. I wrestled in middle school and then obviously going into high school. And after high school, my two older brothers, I come from a big family, so I was getting beat up all the time with,
that
four
explains
brothers.
a lot.
Three older brothers, one younger brother, which, I'd get beat up, and then I had to go show my little brothers the moves what
Somebody's
I just learned, right?
There you go.
So, just naturally tough. And what my brothers did, I did. So right after high school is like that. Like, okay, I know I'm not going to college because I strongly dislike school, right? So that's option.
Okay, that's out.
My two older brothers, they ended up going to the military. So I'm like, okay, that's the route I'm going, So let's take a year off, kind of think about it. I was working construction, making what I thought was good money. So I'm pretty happy, making money, drinking on the weekends, got my girl with me. I'm like living good life. Yeah. So, my buddy and I were both like, okay, like when should we really kind of think about going into the military, right?
Because you're looking around going,
yeah. So another friend of mine's like, hey man, you should join this gym, Nashville MMA. It's in Nashville. You're a really good wrestler. You transition really well into jiu-jitsu. And I was like, perfect. I'll do that to get in shape to lead me into the military. Yeah. So I ended up doing that. And I kind of just walked in like, hey, I want to fight. They're like looking at me like, yeah, we hear that every single day. So 6 months of this, 2 years of that. And I'm like, right. I'm not doing any of that. Yeah. But I will do jiu-jitsu and I will sign up to just get back into wrestling. Right. So I ended up taking the gi, or jiu-jitsu in the gi. It's gi and no gi. They put me in the gi and they're like, you have to be a purple belt in order to fight for us, to represent us. And I was like, all right, cool. So I get in and take my classes, and I'm just taking everybody down, pinning them, And they're like, hey, you got to submit the guy. You can't just do this. So I start to learn submissions here and there. And now I'm beating, like, as a white belt, I'm beating blue belts. I'm beating purple belts. Yeah. And, there wasn't a lot of brown and black back then. Yeah. Like, there were still, like, this is,
early days of MMA, right?
Yeah, exactly. Where black belts are like, whoa, we got one coming to our gym. We don't have one here. They're coming to our gym, right? So it's kind of a big deal. But my coach was like, hey, go against, BT. And I was like, this guy, like just real skinny, kind of scraggly looking dude. And I'm like, it's going to be easy. Dude tapped me like 10 times in 5 minutes. I'm like, what the heck just happened? Right. So I was like, I got to learn this whole like gi thing, right? Because he's grabbing my collars and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting myself into submissions that I don't even know, So
you're looking up like, what the hell happened?
I was like, hey, can we just take this off? And let's get back to wrestling and whatnot. So this gym actually fought for MMA to get legalized in the state of Tennessee. And so that's how, how old it was, like those days of it getting legalized in new states. And so they fought for it and it got legalized in the state of Tennessee. So they decided to put on their own first sanctioned show in the state. And they're like, hey, didn't you say you wanted to fight? I was like, yeah. They're like, well, we're putting one on of our own at the Nashville State Fairgrounds. Would love to have you fight for us, And I was like, oh, cool. And like, I get to, do this. It's like, it's in 2 weeks. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. I'm not taking any type of stand up at this point, just gi jiu-jitsu. Yeah. and I'm kind of beating guys. So I feel like, oh yeah, I'm good. So I work with a coach for like 2 weeks and then I end up fighting. I've never been more scared. I'm like scared, nervous, just like, what did I talk myself into here? Right. In my life. And a coach said, hey, you know, like nobody's expecting you to win, you know, like you're not fighting for a belt. This is just another, you know, you do this every single day when you come into the gym. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that did like make me feel better for like 3 seconds. So I'm getting my hands wrapped up. And so long story short, I go in there and I win. And like half my high school's there, you know, Dustin's fighting, you know, like let's all go. So sold the place out. All my friends, family was there. It was amazing. And I beat the guy, I think in like the first or second round, because we go out there and I'm pretty nervous. So I'm like a little hesitant. And then just without even taking a second guess, I just shoot on the guy, take him down, and I got him on his back, like pinning him. My coach's like, you got to punch him. I was like, yeah. So
the striking comes into play now.
You did
I never taught you that.
Right. So I move into mount and I just, you know, base up and I'm just like pounding this guy in the face until the referee stops it. And so I ended up winning and, you know, the crowd's going crazy and I'm just like, I think I'm so cool. Right. And then on Monday, I was on the front page of the newspaper. That's awesome. Like Tennessee, you know, got MMA legalized. We put on our first, you know, sanctioned show. So we're not in the back doing it illegally anymore. Like, super cool. Hometown guy. Dustin Ortiz, you know, used to wrestle for Franklin High School where he graduated, fought and won. And so there I am on the front page, like
beating a guy.
So the military is out the window, you know? So that's really when I decided like, dude, this is what I'm going to do, you know? And,
did you look back on that? Like how, you know, like, oh my God, like you were a toddler at that point, right? Compared to the skill set you have now, right?
Yeah, I'll drive by high school now and be like, these kids think they're all that. You know, it's like big book bags, and I'm like, they don't even know, you know. And that was just like a year out of high school. So it's crazy to think that I was getting in a cage, fighting, and you know, like putting it all out there.
So that happened. At what point then you're like, okay, now I got to figure out stand up. I mean, you probably. I mean, the good news is you won. Right. The bad news is you won because then you're thinking like, oh yeah, well this isn't tough. But I mean, at that point you start saying, okay, now I've really got to take this stuff seriously. Like I can't just wing it or wing it.
So looking back on it, when I first signed up, I went back and told my dad because I was living with him at the time. I was like, hey, I need like 2 years and I'm going to make it, you know? But really, looking back, that was just an excuse not to have to go to work every day. You know, like, or not have to do the military. Like that was just kind of my out. I'm pretty sure. But at the time, like I think I really did think like, man, I could do this. You know, because of my wrestling background and the coaches were giving me this sense of like, hey, like we're gonna put a little time into you. You know, so. After that fight, I was like, oh, I can't do this. And they were filling my head with that. Right. And so, what really kind of set it off was that because I was still working So I'd go to work construction all day and then I'm in traffic, like falling asleep, going to practice. Right. After that, I think I took a couple more fights. I lost my second fight, at a higher weight class. And I was like, oh, I got to take this serious, you know, if I'm going to do this. And then they offered to pay for me to train full time. Whatever you're making working construction, we'll pay you that to just train. And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm for real doing this.
Now you're in.
Yeah, I'm in.
So what was the hardest? So because you had a wrestling background, was it the striking that of all? First off, let's take it. What disciplines do you need to know in order to be credible in getting into a cage? It's striking, it's grappling, it's like what are those kind of areas that?
Well, to build credibility, I mean, I think you really have to have, you know, toughness and heart. You can be a super skilled guy, and then as soon as somebody kind of turns, you know, the tide on you, and you start to, you know, progress within each round, and they're starting to bully you or whatever, and you kind of give up, then you're not going to really gain too much respect that way.
But if you're just grappling, for example, if you're just a grappler, do people get pissed off because you don't have a stand-up game? Is there always an excuse on that, or
no? So you just have to be really good at one thing at least to get in there, or you have to be really or a pretty basic concept, have a concept of all of them, right? Because you'll have a champion who's Like Demetrius Johnson, he was in my weight class, 125. Just not too long ago, he posted a picture, or maybe this was a couple years now, but I've been away for a little bit. But he posted a picture that he was just a white belt in the gi.
Yeah.
But he's, flying armbarring guys in the cage, right?
Yeah,
It's like, whoa, you're not a white belt, right?
Yeah.
But like in the martial arts of jiu-jitsu, he's a white belt, right? So you don't really have to be super credential in anything. You just have to be like, he was super knowledgeable across
the
and
board.
how to blend them all together. So he'd be wrestling and grappling. And as soon as it went to the feet, he didn't even hesitate to transition into Muay Thai or kickboxing or boxing. And that's what made him so good. Whereas other guys, they'll be really good at jiu-jitsu. And so they're the whole time with no stand-up, and they're trying to figure out how to take this to the ground. Khabib, he was a great wrestler. I think that's what got him to the level that he was at. And on his way up, he was learning the striking deal. Right.
So for
and
you
they just
then-
matched at the perfect time to make him world champion.
So as an opponent, then you're looking at his weakness and going, okay, if I know that, then I want to keep that person standing up, right? Or as soon as he goes into that,
Great question.
That's a great question.
So that's a great question. So because some people will look at it from that, like, what is he good at? What am I good at? And then I will try to maybe beat him at his weakness, or do I try to bring him into my strength? Right. So am I going to take this fight because I'm a stand-up guy? And then he's a ground guy. Am I going to work my stand-up? To strengthen my skill, or am I going to work my ground game to strengthen that in case he gets me to his?
Good point.
So that's a very like which coach do you have? What is your coach thinking, and then what are you thinking, and then what do you guys come up with together? Because I've seen it both ways. I've seen guys. Let's just kind of use that as a basic example. They spend the whole camp working on their stand up, and then they do get taken down and they get submitted, right? Or vice versa, they work on their stand up the whole time, then they get to the ground and then they get right back up, and then they're able to win because they, did their thing
Get
the
back
whole
to their
time,
strengths.
right? Or not even go to the ground.
Yeah.
They worked their stand up so much in defense that they kept it standing the whole time.
Because
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So it's
Yeah, because
And
one can think also like, since the opponent, you're playing chess, right? Because what's weird about this sport, right? It's a one-on-one sport, but you're constantly evolving your game. You're constantly evolving your talent. They're constantly evolving. So you're trying to assume that you're playing chess, right? Well, if they're thinking that, then I'm going to do this, and if they're thinking that I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. For example, you could work on your ground game if you're a stand-up guy. They take you to the ground, saying, "Oh, I got this," and all of a sudden you're like surprising the hell out of them, right? I mean, that could be a tactic, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, and you think like, because all you have to feed off of is their prior fights, right?
Exactly.
And some guys will keep it the same their whole careers. And then some guys, you look at one fight and you're like, dude, this is a completely different fighter from the last.
Just coming
like,
to the
what
fight.
did he do, right?
Preparing for that
he
fight.
did prepare for that fight, right? So you can base your fights out, right? They'll offer you a fight, and if you're ready, then you take it, obviously, because your career is so small. But the smart guys and girls work on what they are least good at in between those fights, right? Because everybody likes to look good on the pads. They like to look good on Instagram and do their thing, right? Who doesn't? So, but the guys who are and girls who are really serious about it, I see them working more on what they're least good at. We all have those.
And the other strategy is weight class, right? So what was your determination on which weight? I mean, obviously there's physics involved, there's biology involved, but I mean you're not going to be probably at a 200-pound class. We get that. But what
I am now, 2,000-pound class, 2,000-pound class. Yeah.
Like, so when you decide which weight class you want to be in, is it based off of what your capability, what you're feeling the best as, or what the competition looks like? How do you determine what weight class do you want to be in?
So for me, it was like where I cut weight my whole life since like 6th grade,
As a wrestler, you're used to that.
Yeah. And I know my body and like where I feel best at. So 125, when I first started, they didn't even have 125. It was 35 and 45 in the WEC. And so I was kind of like bulking up, trying to be like, hey, I'm gonna be a 35 or a 45er, right? And then the UFC bought them out, and then they collided, and then they introduced the 25 because there were so many guys there were small 35ers that could go down. So it's like, hey, let's make this exciting, fast paced fight or weight class for these guys. And then so I was like, thank you. I think this is more my style, right? And because I wrestled 130 in high school and college. My senior year. So I was like, man, I would feel best there.
Okay, so if you try to do 135, you would feel
I don't know.
slower?
I haven't done that yet.
Okay. But
because I cut from, so I walk around between like 50 and 55. If I'm not, now I'm 55. You know, I'm in a different activity that requires, you know, just strength and just overall, like I feel better, a little bit heavier, right? Stronger. Whereas like in fighting, the lower I would go, now I'm the same height. I got the same reach or, you know, same reach as these guys. And it kind of leveled the playing field and or made me a little bit higher because I felt good going down there and then bouncing back. Because we weigh in on Friday, 125 on the dot or 126 if you're not fighting for a title. And I would see these guys like just dying, looking for the first place to sit down. And going to weigh-ins, and I'm just like, I'll fight you right now.
Let's go. You're feeling comfy, which is rare, right?
Good. So I always just felt like I would have mentally a little bit of advantage. But then there's some guys like Frankie Edgar. He's like 5'6", 5'7", maybe fighting at 155, walking around at 155, and he was the champion for years. You know, and is like. So some guys were like, hey, you don't have to cut all this weight because you're not depleting yourself. You have all that fluid around your brain, so you can take a punch. When you deplete yourself, you know, the more you get punched, because that is part of the game, right? It's easier
gonna happen.
You get dropped a little bit easier.
We had Ian Larios.
Talking
about we learned a lot about that.
Absolutely.
Right.
So the best guy you can have on to talk about that kind of stuff. Because he's worked with so many guys. It's like, and he'll be able to tell you nutritious wise, like when you deplete yourself that much, how much easier it is to get knocked out, you know? And so I would deplete myself from, you know, 46 at the beginning of camp to 26, which is 20 pounds. And then be able to go in there. And I mean, I've taken my hits to the head, you know, but I've never been knocked out, you know, and so I felt like I could take this and keep going and keep handing them out just as equally good. So that's how I kind of settled at 35, but I mean 25. So now if I were to go back, everybody's like 35 is your thing. You're like you're so much bigger now and like you're older, so it might be harder to cut that weight. So my next one, if I ever were to think about this, you know, like really seriously, because it's always like, you know, I know any room I walk into, like, I got that guy.
I could take him.
But that's different from like a real training camp and fighting, right? So if I were to put myself through that and want to do it, right, it would probably be 35 just to see how that feels, how much more pop I have. Exactly. Ian,
well, and what's funny is we talked earlier, right? Most people talk themselves out of something. Like, I'm not ready. I'm not going to do this. You spend, I think you're more dangerous because you talk yourself into stuff because you walk in and go, oh yeah, I can do that. Absolutely. Like, you're
I
one of the rare
that.
people. It's like, I can talk myself into doing something crazy like that. So,
and the older I get and the more like, I think it's more of a culture thing where people are talking people out of doing things because maybe their experience or whatever, it wasn't worth it for them. And so when I tell people what I do and what I've done and records that I hold and stuff like that, they're just like, wow, you did all that? And I'm like, like, you're still doing that? I'm like, it keeps me alive. It's like, I kind of feel like I'm breaking that mold of like, no, you need to, you know, get a job and play it safe. It's like, that's not life to me.
The people that we've talked to and had in on the podcast that have been successful like you walked in with like just not knowing enough to talk themselves out of it. So they kind of get in there and they're just kind of like, well, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to go and try it. And they do it. And then they're successful. It's not, they can't talk themselves out of it because they don't know the bad side of it. Right. It's just like,
you probably had older brothers like, well, you know, my older brother hit me harder than that. So
Exactly.
So when you're in MMA, so I'm assuming the pinnacle is UFC, right? That's where everybody's trying to get to. And then you made it to the UFC at 125?
125,
right? And so Mexico City, you're getting prepared. This is awesome. I love this. So you recorded the fastest knockout in your weight class in UFC history. How many seconds?
15 seconds. I think it was 14, but it was recorded as 15.
You're going down to this day saying it's 14 seconds. So tell us the situation about that. You were preparing for this.
Yeah.
I mean, how does one get to a 14-second knockout?
Yeah. So that was a great camp because there's a little smack
Nice.
talk going on, you know,
Yeah.
not from me, but from this guy, because he had trained at Team Alpha Male, which was a camp an hour and a half, I believe, from where I was at. And I had gone up there previous, you know, I think probably 2 years prior to that, and did a little training up there, and I had sparred with this guy. Well, I was fighting a week later. I think it was actually here in Nashville. And so I was getting ready for a fight. Within that week, you know, if you're sparring on Saturday, you're just going through the motions, you're game planning,
kind of tapering, getting ready to go.
Tapering, yeah. And this guy's trying to take me out. And I'm just like looking at his coach. I'm looking around like, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I don't want to cuss on your podcast, but I'm not going
Go
to,
ahead.
you know, be a pussy and be like, no, dude, you're going too hard, right? So I'm looking around like hoping that somebody's going to stop this.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you know, your eye favor comes over and he's like, hey, bro, he's fighting next week. Like, you guys are just moving, you know? And so he just kind of kept at it, and I was like, all right, whatever, like ego. I'm just going to let this guy be who he is. Like, that's cool. I'm not going to go with you again, right? Yeah. So once we, you know, I accept this fight because I was like, oh yeah, I can beat this guy easy, right?
Yeah.
And he starts chirping that he knocked me out in practice. And I'm like, what? Like, okay, I'm like, for real deal.
Excuse me?
Like, yeah, exactly. So once I hear that, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to look up what he's doing. I don't want to hear any interviews that he's done.
Yeah,
I'm just going to do me, and I'm going to stay focused. So it's in Mexico City. So I go, and I'm like, when I train, there's no cheating. I'm strict on my diet. I'm all in. I've lived in Tennessee through most of my UFC career. And then I would fly out to California as soon as I got the call, and I would spend a month or 2 or 3, depending on, as soon as I got the call, I booked my flight and I was out there. Right.
So what is the ideal amount of time you need between, like, when you get that call?
So it kind of varies. If for guys who train consistently, like 6 weeks is ideal. Right. But if you're kind of just training once a day, or you got a part-time job that you're working, because it's not going to pay all the bills when you first start, right? For me, I was back home in Tennessee, and I was just kind of working on the farm, doing whatever, training once or twice a day. So for me, it'd be like, good 8-10 weeks would be nice. Okay. So I would go out there, and Mexico City, high elevation. I bought the altitude tent. I was sleeping in that every single night.
Nice.
I read this book called The Oxygen Advantage. So I started taping my mouth shut so I could just breathe, you know, nasal breathing. Super important. So I was going to all because this is high.
You were all in.
Yeah. I'm going to outpace this guy.
Yeah.
And beat the crap out of him, because I know that he said he knocked me out.
Yeah.
And so, just going into the fight, I was just all in, just 100% dedicated. Switching stances, you know, you see it right in the beginning of that in that fight. I'm switching stances, and my coach is like, okay, you know, he's gonna come in, he's gonna come in hot, he's gonna come in heavy, because he said he knocked you out, so he's gonna try to prove it. You know, he's like, sometimes we have to bite down on our mouth guard and, you know, lay out our combinations that we've been drilling, which was uppercut, hook, cross, right? I don't think I did that exact one.
Yeah.
But I threw an overhand, uppercut, and then an overhand. And it's just all stuff that you drill, right?
So it becomes rote. I mean,
he comes out. I'm kind of like trying to juke him a little bit. And he comes in. I'm like, oh, I turn away, because I'm like, oh, he's for real, right? He's coming at me. It's just what we talked about. So then the second time, I knew it was coming again. And it's just put your head down and throw that overhand. So I did. I put my head down, you know, kind of looking out of my peripheral, threw that overhand. And when I looked up, he looked like a mine. Just ran into glass, right? And I was like, just started machine gun punching him as fast as I could. And he went down and just hammer fist. And the ref pulled me off. And I looked back like, was there more? Is this over? You just never know. And it's so what's funny about it is, after, like, when you're in the back, because everybody goes to the green room, right? The UFC has a green room. You go back there, you get to watch the other fights on the TV, and there's food and all this good stuff. And a little weird when you lose, because now your opponent comes in.
Hey, what's up?
Right? So, but it's cool. So you go back there, and when somebody comes in and you're maybe beat up, you fought 15 minutes, you're cut, you're whatever, and this dude just had a, you know, first round knockout, you kind of look at him like, that was cool, but like, damn, I wish that was me, right?
Yeah.
And I always kind of, because I had tough fights. And so for the
butterfly
first
up.
time, that was
Walking
me,
back
like
on,
15 seconds, walked back, unscathed, didn't even break a sweat.
Exactly, yeah.
Who's worked harder.
It's like,
it warming
I
up
could take
and
another
everything.
one if you guys are up for it. Let's go.
Let me get your spot.
I mean, the crowd must have just like gone apeshit crazy, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it was just,
yeah.
I mean, that's got to be an intoxicating feeling, right? You get in and everyone's going crazy. You hit that, everyone,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, right?
Right.
And I think we talked about this before, but it must feel like, on one hand, it's great that you got that. On the other hand, though, but you were training for 8 weeks, like you were dialed in, and before you know it, you're looking around like, I guess we go get tapas. I mean, you know what I mean? You're like, what do I do now?
Feel pretty good.
Yeah.
So tell folks how tough is it to stay at that UFC level? Because I think there's this.
Because you don't have a season, right? We have a season, right? We have an off 3 or 4 months or more, like in between, that we can actually let ourselves relax a little bit, bring our bodies back again. But you guys need to stay on until the phone rings, right? At least some level.
Yeah, but it's not
there.
just that though.
Right.
UFC it's a business at the end of the day, right?
100%,
So they want to make sure that they have the right. They want the right fighters, not only in the right, but I mean they're trying to make a spectacle. I don't want to say like WWE by any means, but I mean they still got
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment, 100%.
It's
and
entertainment.
Remember that. Well, I want to come back to that.
I guess that's my point. And so when you, it's not just, you can't just be a good fighter. You have to be a good character. Is that a off base thing to say, or is that?
No, so let's if I don't lead into that, bring me back to that.
Okay.
So because I want to answer the question of how hard is it to stay there, right? And a great man, Burt Watson, he used to work for the UFC, kind of the hype man, right? He would hype everybody up in the back, and I don't even know if that was on purpose. That was just who he was, right? But you love to hear his voice, you love to see him.
Yeah.
And he would lead fighters out. He would come back in 5 minutes, and we walk, and you're like, 5 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
2 minutes. And he was just on top of it, right? And so he would lead you out to the cage and position you and all that good stuff. And one thing that he would say every single show was, it's hard to get here. It's even harder to stay.
Yeah.
And I just like, if I could tell all fighters that, and not just in the UFC, but as a career, it's hard to be a fighter. It's hard to do it for a long time.
Yeah.
So get in, make your money, take your hits as least amount as possible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Fulfill whatever you're trying to, because at the end of the day, fighting is you will grow out of it.
Yeah.
You're not a 90-year-old man looking for fights, right?
There's no Tom Brady
That's a
fighting.
real issue.
Some of that anger is going to go away. Some of that desire to be in the battle is going to go away.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And so that was something that he said, and it's never been more true. Yeah. So once you get to that high level, you have guys who train year round. After the fights, they're the first guys in the gym, because that's kind of, some coaches distill that, like, hey, look at this guy. He fought on Saturday. Monday, he's back in the gym grinding.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't think you need to take some time.
Yeah.
But you're a target at that point too. I mean, you just knocked a guy out in 14 seconds?
Yeah.
13, we'll debate.
15 seconds.
But
recorded.
by the end of this, it's going to be 9 seconds.
It was
really
4.5 seconds. In 3.2.
Really fast.
Fell coming out.
Yeah.
But you have a target now too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's like, wait a minute, that guy just did that. So he's there's people putting you on their wall, right? And it's like, he's the guy.
Or on their punching bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming after you. So So tell us about that entertainment portion of it. Then it's
right. So then leading into that, which is like, now it's an entertainment industry, right? Like the UFC, it's a business, but it's an entertainment business, right? So now you have guys who, they're pretty good fighters, but you put this mic right in front of them, and they're going to say some things that are just like, have you laughing, or like, I can't believe he said that. And with social media, they're turning them into memes, and they're, and people are taking it and running with it. And then you're popular, you go from like 10,000, 20,000 followers to 1 million, 100,000 and overnight. Right. And then you're getting tweeted about and all that good stuff. So little cool fun fact for me, at least, you guys might think it's cool. Travis Barker, drummer.
Oh yeah.
So he tweeted at me, said that he didn't even like make it to the fridge and back or something like that. That it's like, holy crap, Dustin Ortiz, And I was just like, wow, so that's like the eyes that you have on you, so
Serious,
that 8 weeks of just hard sleeping at altitude, in a tent,
Yeah.
grind. And it's not just that 8 weeks, but this is years that I've been doing this, you know? So it's not the 8 weeks that made that fight. It's all the years that I've been putting into makes it worth it, you know? And it's like, that's the kind of work that you have to put in for that little second of whoever's watching you.
And that clip lives on. And YouTube, and it will be watched.
Repost it,
and it will be. We're going to throw it in the middle here while we're talking. I'm going to drop it in the YouTube.
In flyweight history, I think the one before that was a minute and something.
Yeah,
you know, minute and 40 maybe.
Yeah.
So does that change your? So does that start changing sort of your mind at that point because you're like, oh crap, now I have to perform. Now I have to like. Do you feel like an added bit of pressure when you're in that you should be saying crazy stuff? You can say crazy stuff right now if you want. The 9 people watching.
No, yeah. So. I've never. Is this live?
No.
Okay.
No, we're recording this.
My brother-in-law asked, so I had to.
I
completely forgot to ask you guys. That's fine. So if it was, I'd be like,
it's live on tape.
Yeah. So no, I always put so much pressure on myself. Mm-hmm. Like growing up, my 2 older brothers are twins, and then my little brother and my little sister are twins, and we're kind of like the 5 from the same parents. So we kind of never really got separated until a little bit older. So 2 sets of twins, and I'm right in the middle. I always was like fighting for attention, so to speak, right? And so I always put pressure on myself to be something, to do something, whatever. And I always just kind of felt like I would like working on the farm. I would like going and doing this, construction, blah, blah, blah. But after a couple months, I'm like, this is not for me. God bless whoever thinks this is for them, right? And settles for it. But like, this is not me. So I always put that so much pressure on myself. And after a knockout, people expect it. But for me, it was just like, that's kind of unrealistic because I didn't even expect to get that.
Seriously.
Right. So like, am I going to go bum rush somebody within 15 seconds just to beat it? It's not the smartest thing to do, right? So he kind of was
not unless you want them to have the record.
Exactly right. No, that's my record.
It's mine.
I'm going to wait 15 seconds.
Then bull rush.
So I don't get on the other end of that.
Yeah.
But no, I've never felt really any added pressure of like people recognizing me and saying, oh, this and that. And I'm just kind of like, dude, I'm just a regular dude. Like, it's cool that I've accomplished that, but I put so much pressure on myself. I'm not going to let somebody else's, thoughts and whatever.
Do you feel a sense of pressure though to become a character because you see that that's working for other people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I did.
Did you develop a character or?
No, I never had a nickname. I never, my whole life, I never had a nickname.
Really?
Yeah. My brother will call me like Junior or, Dust. Now I'm Uncle Dust. Buddy calls me his aunt, cute as can be. She'll say, "Oh, Dusty," "Oh, Dusty's here." So I'll get that from time to time. But no, I never had a nickname or anything.
But you didn't have a
that.
pressure to feel like you needed that.
But I felt pressure just on the sense of. All the champions were known for, kind of a character. Or
exactly.
You almost form that on your way up.
Yeah.
And getting into the business aspect of it, especially like we're talking about, it's now entertainment industry. Yeah. So with that being, said, it's like you do have to form a character to be something, right? To sell.
Yeah.
To sell. Yeah. And some people can just sell themselves. But the people who create a character that people love is or hate,
which
right?
Works just as well.
Yeah, Jake Paul's proving that. So.
Yeah, right.
They seem to excel a little bit more, right? Yeah. So, and our champion was Demetrius Johnson, in my opinion, the greatest MMA fighter of our time, right? Right there with John Jones. The guys are just unbelievable. But he didn't sell. Right? Because he wasn't known for really anything. He was just winning. He was quiet. He played his video games, and it was just kind of like there's no really. He's not going to go because he wasn't getting paid what he thought he was. Mm-hmm. There's no above and beyond. Whereas like John Jones, like he's out partying, getting himself in trouble, and people know him as that, trying to be a good guy. Which is like, bro, just you're not
be yourself.
That, right?
Yeah, you're not that.
So he kind of, and then with Conor McGregor coming in, he really took it to a whole new level of this is a character that I've formed and am going to uphold with this the whole time. And he did, and he just went through the roof. And you have younger guys with this new generation of doing that, and they're exceeding the harder workers, the guys who, ultimately, in my opinion, would deserve a title shot, but they're getting chosen over these guys because
ratings
their name is so big.
Because it sells tickets.
Right? They got like 3 UFC fights.
Yeah.
They're choosing that guy over a guy who has 10 to 15 who's earned it, who's
really
earned it, you know, but nobody really knows, like, oh, he's fighting?
It's all about views. It's all about views.
Yeah.
You got to get people watching.
You got McGregor, like, wide receivers when they get a touchdown are walking like McGregor when they're done. I mean, the guy created it. He's got not the greatest whiskey, but he's got a whiskey, right? So
I haven't tried it.
I mean, so he was smart enough to turn that, which is cracks me up.
And I see that now, like more clearly now that I've stepped away from it.
Well, if you go back, we'll create a character for you.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you create this character that's really not you, you have to hold that up. So 20 years later, when you're retired and you're just hanging out, everyone expects that character. And you're just like, well, that's not me. I don't want to do that anymore. You still have to do that.
Right.
You're going to have to keep that character going, which is like you want it to be more like you.
Yeah.
So that you didn't have to work so hard later on.
Right. And so it's cool. It's cool for me that like people know me, know who I am, know that I'm a fighter. Yeah. And I kind of like... I have a resting bitch face for girls.
Your photos. You're a mean son of a bitch. Right? You're scary. You're a scary man.
No smile.
Yeah. So
your pictures.
I've talked to people. It's like, man, I've been wanting to say what's up, but you're just in your zone. Like I was a little nervous, and you're just like the coolest dude. So it's like that's kind of a care. Like I don't care to be like center of attention and all this like fighting for your like. Like no, I'm just. And then once you get to know me, you're like, dude, that's a cool dude. Like I could hang out with him, right? Yeah. And I think that's more of a character that I want to be than a super well known character.
Well, and when I first met you, I thought I thought you were going to be just like because your persona that you give off. I mean, you've got a look.
I think you were eyeballing me like, hey, guy.
Damn. Right now. I mean, just right
Let's
now.
go.
I was looking at your steak you were eating. I'm like, can I have that? Yeah. But you find out you're fun to talk to. I mean, you're really open. You're really fun to talk to. And it's just like when I left, I'm like, it's just surprising because when you see you on the photos and you see you're fighting. I mean, I'm assuming your mindset. I'm always curious about this. 2 things I'm curious about on the way in and then the walk in. Right. So on the way in, it's always fun. What are your thought process when you're like standing across? Like, is it truly like I'm going to rip your freaking head off, or is it more of a quiet confidence? I mean, what do you try to portray when you're staring down like somebody at the weigh-in?
Yeah. Oh, at the weigh-in or in the cage?
At the weigh-in.
Both.
So,
at the weigh-in, okay. So
and then at the cage. I mean, when you're walking in,
So my weigh-in approach is my very first UFC fight. It was in Brazil against a Brazilian guy. First fight of the night. Yeah. Okay. And so I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. I'm like, who signed me up for this? Right? So actually, funny story. When the UFC called, I was in a push-up contest with my buddy, right? And coach calls me over. He's like, do you want to fight in the UFC next week? And I was like, or in 2 weeks, I think it was. Yeah. And I was like, and my buddy who I'm doing a push-up contest with, he's like, yes, he does. I was like, oh, yeah. So I was just like so taken back, right? That's funny. And so some things happened, and then I finally got to make my debut, right? And so it was against a Brazilian guy in Brazil, and I'm like, no, I want to fight here. I want to go clear over there. And so first time in Brazil, fighting a guy, and we pull up to this, I'm guessing an old soccer stadium. So the seats are like all concrete. Oh my God. It's hot. Yeah. And I'm like, this is my experience. So this is the UFC, right? And I'm warming up in the back, and I can hear them out there. I mean, this is loud. Yeah. So just kind of fast forward a little bit. When you go to Vegas, nobody really shows up until like the last 3 fights, right? It's pretty your real fans or somebody who flew in for a UFC are there. Yeah. But the last 3 fights, it's jam packed, right? So I didn't know that. I thought that this is what I'm getting myself into. Yeah. And the whole place, I feel like it's just rocking. I'm trying to warm up. And, you know? And I have this other guy's like, oh, this is your first fight? And I was like, yeah, first fight in the UFC. He's like, what fight are you? Like on the card. And I'm like, I'm first fight. He's like, oh, I'm glad that's not me. I'm like, dude, what? I don't want to hear that. Right. So we walk up, they position us. Bert's like, it's showtime. Let's go. Hyping me up. I'm like, all right, yeah. And we we walk and they put the camera in your face, and I'm like, I got this. So I don't like to just stand. I'm pacing back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've trained with the best. I'm here. I'm ready. Let's go. You got this. And this is all I'm saying to myself. Like, I can win. I'm fucking badass. And I'm pacing back and forth, and Lady's like, camera's on in 5, and you got to be right there. And she's like, come back to the center. And I'm like, no, I'm not pacing. Right? Like, 5, 4, 3. And then the camera comes on you. And like, I'm pretty sure it's either right before then or in that moment, I look back to my coach because the place is just loud.
Yeah.
And I look back at him and I just start busting up laughing. Like, we both start busting up laughing. I don't know, should I be scared? Should I be like ready, nervous? And I start laughing like, oh God, this is crazy. And these guys are like, they're like flicking me off, giving me the bird, you know. They're saying like, "Ooh, I'm away, ooh, I'm away," which means you're gonna die in Portuguese.
Nice.
So I'm like, yes.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds
I like
cool.
it.
Wait a minute.
I knew it wasn't good when they're not giving me the bird, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, how do I be, right? And so I don't even know. I would have to go back and watch because I think I'm just like as stiff as a board, like walking. And it was just hot, and you know, I know, like, all right, we get out, take your clothes, you know. Take your clothes off doesn't sound good. Take your warm-up stuff.
Warm-ups off.
Get into your fight shorts and, you know, hug your coach if you want to. And I was like, So we do that, and then I walk into the cage, and a bug flew on me. And I was like, whoa, what was that? And it's like overwhelming, just like feeling, and it's hot, and like the mat is like almost sandy, and I'm kind of like rubbing my feet like, oh, what is this? You know? And then I just go to my corner, and at that moment, you're just kind of looking at each other, right? And then every fight is different. So that one, I was just kind of looking at him like, oh, I'm gonna, this is a dog fight, because that's really all. I'm not super skilled, so this is a dog fight, right? And so that fight was so special because it was like an out of body experience. So I literally felt like I was sitting on the cage with my feet crossed, watching me fight. Like, bro, you should listen to your coach. You know, 'cause he was saying so much, but I just couldn't let go. And it was just like literally, I was just watching myself. We go into the third period, and he's like, "Hey, you need to land this combo. It's there. You got it. Just let your hands go." And I was just like, no, I need to take him down and finish him. And he's like, okay, that's what you think?
That's
like,
what you
let's
think?
do
Go
it.
For it,
Because I that's just all. It was a super close fight, but he's a Brazilian in Brazil. And it's happening so fast. I don't know what's going on. I'm just watching myself from the side, you know? So I was like, if I'm going to, if I'm going to win this fight for sure and secure it, this is what I have to do. And he's like, yeah, do it. And so that's what happened. I ended up going out there, taking him down, ground and pound, knocked him out, TKO in the third.
Nice.
But so from fight to fight, let's reverse. So that guy in that first fight, when he walked, I weighed in, because I was the underdog. So I weighed in first, and I go and stand in my position, and then I see him come out, get onto the scale, weigh in, and then he approaches me, right? And we face off. And he came in just so fast and so like aggressively and just looked into my soul. I felt like this overwhelming, like, bro, I'm about to cold cock you right now. Back up a little bit. And he just held it, and I just looked into his eyes like, I'm not going to back down at all. And that was so ingrained in me that I knew that that's what I wanted to do to every guy that I came across that I was going to face off against. And old statues, if you look at like some of the like Greek gods and stuff like that, their back foot is always up, so they're in like a motion of ready to like
kind of forward
movement.
Ready to...
And I was like, that's kind of what I want. So I was always like leaning forward, like I'm gonna bring the fight. Right? There's no back down in me. My foot's ready. I'm going forward. So whether I was the one, the underdog, which I was most of my career, I was like, come at me, and here we go. Or I'm coming off the scale, shake Dana's hand, and then I'm like in your face, like, here we go. So that's kind of that was my mentality of the face off right after weigh-ins.
I kind of feel like it's sort of like, wide receivers that have to have a Super Bowl dance. It's sort of like you got to develop your, like, what is that thing that's going to, and it must be, and you're getting all sorts of different sides. So you know what you're doing. There must be at some point you look at this guy like, oh shit, or not. Or is it always, because the confidence you have, like, you have to be that, right? You can be no other way, but just like you said, I may not have the skill, but it's going to be a dogfight. I'm not leaving nicely. We're, someone's going to get hurt before someone leaves, that kind of thing. It kind of feel like, but you've always had that though, right?
Right. And that's just kind of engraved in who I am. Right. And I think that's more of a, like, how did you grow up? How were you raised? Were your parents there? Were they not? Were you in a rough neighborhood? Were you in a nice neighborhood? And like, some people might grow up in a nice neighborhood, but they just have that dog in them that's like, this was my parents. I want this for myself, or I want to prove that I'm this great quarterback or this great football player or this great fighter. For me, it's just like, I'm just trying to fight and just prove like that I'm just something, not just like, so we came from a, super poor background and growing up really rough until we moved to Tennessee, one of the nicest places in the country right now, but it's just like, always like, I'm smaller guy.
You're fighting no matter what. Like every day you're fighting.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So that was just always in there. Yeah. And now I get to express it. And most of it was just naturally until I gained the technique. Right. Yeah. So when I was walking out in the beginning, it was all serious. Like, cameras on me. How do I act? Yeah. And then it turned into like, oh shit, like I get to do this. I'm kind of like moving around, showing people that it's like, this is now my comfort zone, right? And I'm like, I know the camera's on me. What are people, right in when you're transitioning? What are people thinking as you're walking out? And then it's like, I don't really care. Like, I'm happy. What's up? Yeah. I'm here. I'm moving. I'm loose. I've done everything that I can possibly do, and I'm focused, right? Yeah. So that's another thing. To answer your question, when you first get into the cage, right? So I always kind of like approach the cage like, okay, now it's time to work. I'm going to enter aggressively. Like, I want to feel the cage. I want to kind of do maybe a forward roll or a couple shots to feel where I'm at. And then I just start pacing. And in the beginning, that was like that dog ready to be let off the leash. I'm just pacing until somebody says go. Or like horses, when they're about to race, they're like, you got to hold them back and then you let them go. Yeah. So that was kind of my approach in the beginning. But as my career went on, I'm like, no, I know I have that dog. Right. Yeah. So I want to stay calm because he's ready to go. And so I started, when I was sparring and training in a comfortable gym I go to every single day, I would picture that I was in the cage. And then when I got into the cage, I would picture that I was in the gym.
Back of the gym.
Right? So I would vice versa too. And it was like, it just made me more comfortable. Yeah. And I think that really worked for me because I didn't really want to look at the other guy because then, Mike Tyson said that he would get in and he would lock eyes. And I felt like if I locked eyes, I would have to keep that. Right? So I was like, I'm not going to give him that. So as soon as, because when you see a dude pacing, you're like, oh, dude's chill, bro. It's like, it's like, So I just always wanted that. That's funny. And then once we're ready to go. Same thing. I never wanted to sit down in between rounds. Like, because I never did that in training. Huh. Yeah, there's nobody comes in and brings a chair in training. Really? Like, that would be nice. You need a water. Right? Yes, I do. Oh, thank you.
Training of all the places you would really like to have it.
Skirts you, but that's not how it was. So I would always like face away from the guy. Because there's two coaches in and then one coach on the outside most of the time. Yeah. So I'd listen. He would talk, and then he would talk and advise. Everybody's seeing different things. You got to stand up, ground. And I was just like, I just wanted to stand, be with my team, and let the blood flow naturally. Because you sit down, you're like, this feels good. A minute already? Like,
your energy starts to tip off.
So by the way, we can talk about this for like hours. This is
I could, great.
So here you are, a fighter. All of a sudden, are you driving home and you see a bull and you think to yourself, "Well, I want to ride that." Yeah. Or how did how does a guy that's
what do I do next?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, let's see.
So I was driving in my old truck down, just going to my secret spot. Yeah. Had this girl with me. We're going to showing her the place. And the sun's kind of setting. It's a nice summer day, windows open, and these cows are coming across the road. It's like, it's natural around the country, right? Yeah. And they all pass, and there's just this bowls in the middle, right? Middle of the road. I can't go down because both sides are like deep ditches, right? So I can't go around. So I kind of like pull up to him, honk, honk, honk. He's not moving, not budging, just like whatever in his zone. Back up. What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. Like, get out. So I'm like, still nothing. I'm like, I'm not going to touch this thing, right? Like maybe, I don't know. It's like not moving. So like, okay, well, we're going to the spot on these back roads, he's feeling good, whatever. So I was like, okay, so I'm just kind of back up to this thing. I'm going to jump on it because it's not aggressive.
I feel like he's telling a bullshit story.
I was so working on my storytelling.
He's just like,
I jump on it.
Yeah, there you go.
I start riding it. She's like, oh my God.
You should do this.
Look, you're like a cowboy. And I was like, greatest compliment ever.
The
So
first minute, I'm like, I think he's
Sitting there like,
bullshitting us.
yeah.
okay, so I need to work on that story.
Yeah.
No, so
You
I
were
was
smiling too much.
Was it the smile?
It was the smile.
It was a smile.
I thought I was doing so good. No, so I worked with a strength and conditioning coach when I was living in Denver, getting ready for a fight, and he worked with bull riders down at the Performance Center, I think you would call it, the PBR Performance Center down in Pueblo, Colorado.
Oh. So
I went down there, just met him through a friend of mine. It's like, hey, you should go check out. His name is Antoine. He runs this place. He's like, he really good. You know, just his strength and conditioning would translate into fighting. Mm-hmm. So I was getting ready for a fight, drove down there, and I was like, hey, what are the chances of me getting on? He's like, no, you don't want to do that, especially when you're still fighting. Like after, for sure.
Come talk to me.
Yeah, exactly. But right now, no. So I had taken this fight in Bahrain, lost by decision. And I think like 2 weeks later, he calls me and he's like, hey, you still want to get on a bull? And I was like, more than ever. I just lost, just lost crazy. Yeah. And he's like, okay, we're going to put this camp on in a month. And it's going to be super professional. It's put on by PBR, put on by us. We're going to have bullfighters, medics, real bull riders who've been there, done that, PBR world champions. If you're going to go do it, like this is the safest environment, because you can go, to some dude's ranch where everybody's drinking a few beers and they're like, yeah, load up that one.
Give it a try.
Exactly. And
Two guys named Earl are like,
you get on Bushwhacker and you're like, slinging across the fence. But so I was like, okay, yeah, absolutely. So I signed up for this camp. It was a 3-day camp. I ended up getting on 6 bulls in the 2 days.
Wow.
Or 3 days. Yeah, I got on 2 the first day. 3 the first day, 2 the second day, and then the third one was like a mini rodeo that they put on, or bull riding event. Okay. And what was your question?
First time
how did I got into it? Yeah, so that's kind of how that came to be. Was like, I had the opportunity, and I just had lost a fight, and I was like, it was always like a little bucket list thing. Like we'd watch PBR growing up because we grew up on a farm. It's like, dude, these guys are beasts. They're crazy. Like. It's just like, hand, it's a little attractive.
Yeah. So on the one hand, like Tom and I are doing that would be insane. But the fact that you're physically in incredible shape, right?
Yeah.
You spend your life doing nothing but balance, right? Because you're trying to counter whatever a move that they're doing. So at first, when I heard you were doing that, I'm like, that guy's nuts. Yeah. Then I'm like, well, actually, that's probably the most sane thing to do if someone's going to go do it, because you have that experience of being able to understand that. When you first got on that bull, first off, did you shit yourself? And secondly, it's like, did it feel like, okay, does your innate nature of you, like I said, having to figure out how to balance, how to kind of counter, did that kind of come into play?
Yeah, all of that came into play. So as soon as I got there, I was just super nervous, right? Yeah. Then I have all these cowboys telling me like, do this, do that, do this. And I'm like, yeah. In one ear and out the other, right? I'm like, oh, yeah.
This is like your first MMA fight, right? You're all like, I don't know what I'm doing, but what the hell? Let's go.
One ear out the other. And then what comes natural just comes natural.
Yeah.
I get into the cage, my first fight. He's throwing punches. I'm taking you down because I know wrestling, right?
Yeah.
So getting on, I just kind of was like, this is just like a fight. I'm super nervous. I see guys warming up, so I'm going to get loose too. I know that's smart because I'm about to do something super athletic, right?
Yeah.
I have no gear. So this guy's like, hey, which was super cool. And that's what I love about like the bull riding and the Western sports and rodeoing is all those guys, as crazy as they are, the community, they really look out for you.
That's cool.
Which is nice.
And I think that's across the board, because this is very dangerous. So it's not like you do have your yahoos out there that will say, oh, come get on, and just because their bull needs exercise, they'll put you on, right? Put you on. But for across the board, they're very like, we're going to take care of you, So this guy let me use his rope, and a rope is, to me, it's kind of like gloves. You don't just let anybody use your rope. This is like mine. I have it set up for, and they're like, here's my rope. Here's my helmet. I went and bought boots. I didn't have boots, here's, everything.
Yeah.
So I started getting ready, putting it on just like as if I was gloving up. So I just was like, okay, this is it. And then they're like, that's your bull. And so they load them in the chute, and then you have like 4 other bulls that they're going to run in there, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, that's your bull. So I'm kind of eyeballing him. Like, you know, like,
Same thing.
You're mine.
Give him the
Like,
stare
I'm
down.
like, wow, okay, you
Start
won
the
this
pacing.
one? Because
Bull
you're
looks at you,
super
takes a
scary.
crap, and
Yeah, I
you're
go
like,
over to him like, it's going to be good. Kind of horns me a little bit. I'm like, all right, somebody help me put this rope on. You know? So they help me do all that, and I kind of count. I'm like, all right, I'm up in like this much time. So I'm like warming up, drinking water, and then I just like, hey, you're up next after this one. You know, we're going to go over there, and then we're going to come back over here. So this bull goes, and then over there, and then you're up. So, and because I am who I am, and it was a camp, and they were really focused on climb in there. Somebody's going to go over a procedure and help you and talk you through it. And I'm just like, it didn't really help, but it did make you feel better within that time. You know, this is how you're going to get on. This is how you approach it. And, see, I get up there, I'm ready. I got a glove, you know, they tape me up, and they're like, all right, jump in there just like we just got done showing you. So I get in there, and, you know, you slide down on them, and you just feel like the warmth of this bull and his breathing. And it's just like it just overwhelming, consuming, like feeling that you've never had before. Right. And I'm going to ride this thing, right? Who's expecting me to do
And
this?
he's slightly annoyed at this point.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, depending on the bull, they'll try to horn you while you're in the chute, or they'll lean on you. So these are steel gates, you know, and I got a little leg that this 1,000-pound bull is leaning on. It's like, you know, and there's just so much going on. So it's like, okay, let's try to make this fast, because he's getting annoyed that he's in this, and he knows what's about to happen. So they put me on. They're like, okay, just, you know, hold on. Chest out, kind of lean forward, keep that hand, that's your stabilizing hand. Try not to let it come too far back. Just everything's over, because they're jumping forward. And so you want to match their forwardness, right? And I'm just thinking, like, I'm trying to match nothing at this point. I'm just trying to hold on, you know? And there was so much that it's just like, I realize now they're just like, get on and ride, right? So, and that's what happened. They open up I nod my head, like, when you're ready, nod, you know, I nod, and we go out of there, and I felt like this was like the biggest bull there, which was the smallest. I felt like I had the biggest, baddest bull. He goes, and he just kind of hops across the pin, the circle pin. And he goes left, and I just keep going straight. So I fly off. I jump onto the fence, like I've seen many times before. And I'm looking around, like, and he's just standing there, like, I'm done. You know, I'm thinking he's like, like coming back at me. So my heart's racing, and this was a PBR put on. So there's cameras, and because of my fighting, they're like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, I can do better. You know? Like,
I want
amazing.
Shot.
I just and I was like,
after
that was one of those scenes where because of the situation, like MMA fighter doing this, it was a pretty big deal. I was trying to say a lot of the right things, but I was like, holy shit, like that was crazy. So it was like, but I knew right there, like that was nothing like that I can't do, you know. And I knew that I could do better, so I was like, I want to do it again. They're like, yeah, you got it.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. So what's funny, so after the first 3, then they're like, hey, we're going to come back tomorrow. Now that we've seen what you do. And you got guys saying like, dude, you're natural, right? So after the weekend, everybody's like, dude, if you wanted to do this, like, I really think you could. They tell everybody that, right? And I'm just like,
blowing
really?
smoke,
They're like,
big
oh,
time.
yeah, you're a fighter, you're balanced, and all this stuff. And so I believed him, and I was like, well, at that time, like, fights were kind of falling through, and it was just like more work than it was fun anymore. And then for bull riding, just doors started opening, right? So I was like, I think I might be onto something here, right? I love it. There's nothing, you know, they do train hard, don't get me wrong, but like fighters, 3 times a day, hands down the hardest working athletes that I know. Are they always smart about their training? No. But are they the hardest workers?
Name
in
an
my
athlete
opinion?
that
is. Right, exactly. Hands down the hardest workers.
So, and I think to dissuade some myths about like these bulls, right? They're specifically bred for this, right? There's people that breed, you know, riding bulls, right? And then they're not they're not getting gored. They're not, being prodded in the nuts to try to do stuff. I mean, these guys kind of know what they're doing, right? And they have a personality. Because you mentioned before, like, some of them are just going to be like, get off me, I'm done. Others are going to be like looking for you. So describe sort of, those kind of.
This guy with a great question. Great questions. Yeah, each bull is like kind of like a person. They all have their personalities, like when you're in the chute, some will try to horn you like while you're in there and you're like, hey, like we haven't started yet. Yeah, chill. Yeah. Some will sit down in the chute, and which makes it super hard. You never want to open the gate when a bull is down. Because you're getting launched.
Just launch you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's going to hurt. Spring.
Right. Yeah. So that's happened. That's why I know this.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was sitting down and they're kind of leaned up against the chute. And when they jumped up, my knee hit every single rail. Give me a minute.
And they know what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's when I would say, hey, let's give this guy a shot. He deserves it. Being an asshole.
Yeah.
But then you have then you have some that come in, they're big, bad, and they know like I'm just gonna stand here. You get ready, and then I'm gonna give you hell, And it's like that's kind of what you want, because you're pulling that rope just as tight as you can get it, you know. So you're securing your hand down there, right?
Yeah. That's gotta be a weird feeling. I mean, because I see that. I mean, you guys are literally like it. It's needed to stay on the bull, right?
100%.
Yeah. But also, like, you got to get off that damn thing, right? So you got this. I mean, how?
But they tend to blow their stomachs out a little bit while you're putting that on there, and then it loosens. Right? Because I know horses that would do that. I worked with horses when I was a kid, and when we would try to put all the apparatus and stuff on them, we had a couple that would actually blow their bellies out a little bit, and you would be trying to get it as tight as possible, and then they would relax and it would be loose, and you'd be like, would you stop it? And
that's when you got your buddy right there just squatting
and pull it up.
That rope.
But your hand is still stuck in there. I mean, how stuck is your hand, I guess?
So there's two types of rope. There's an American rope that really ties down your hand. It'll really it'll
cut the blood off.
Yes. Like suck down on your hand, and then you have a Brazilian rope that's a little bit looser. So
it's like Brazil.
I would have to kind of show you. I should have brought mine. But it's so as no matter how tight the guy is pulling it, they're still gonna. If you let go, you'll be able to get your hand.
Oh, okay.
So those guys, they'll use a lot of rosin, which will help it get real sticky. The guys who, and I'm no professional by any means, so if I sound like I know what I'm talking about,
10 times more than we do. So
I'm still learning a lot. So, but the American guys, the way that it sucks down on your hand, it's as tight as you can get it, and if that bull moves an inch, your hand moves an inch. So some guys like that, so they know.
I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, after the 8 seconds are over, you're getting bucked off. I don't want my dislocated shoulder on.
You're still hanging off the bull.
You grab that lead rope, the end of it, and then you kind of pull it to.
Which one do you prefer?
Loosen. Man, I think at the end of the day, within time, I think an American rope is probably better because, like I said, it really tightens your hand down. And even if you let go, it's still pretty tight.
Yeah.
So you get hung up more.
But it feels like to me, like just knowing you and talking about what you're doing, you process quickly. Like,
right.
I mean, on the American one, like for me, I'd be like, well, shit, what do I got to do? I have to do that. It feels to me like you're able to adapt quickly. Was that a fair thing to say?
Yeah. I think 100%. Good at adapting things, but. So the Brazilian, you can let go, and the bull will kind of take you off to wherever space you're going to, right? So it's like I think the Brazilian is really good. It's just looser. You have more room to kind of. The Brazilians tend to really open themselves up and let their hand go and get kind of crazy on the bull. Yeah. Whereas American, they really push forward to the front of the bull, and you can feel every inch of that bull, right? Where the other one has a little more play. So I'm using a Brazilian right now because I think it's a good beginner rope. Because if you get hung up and you get slung off, your hand comes out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And your natural instinct, when you're getting slung around, is to hold on. Nobody said, let go for dear life. Right? So everybody's like, you got to hold on, right? And so, because that's happened to me before. The first time I tried a Brazilian, I wasn't used to so much rosin, so it was super sticky. And when I put my hand in there, like you'd have to peel your fingers off to let go.
Like,
right?
hang on.
Yeah,
the bull's flinging you,
right?
Trying to get out of it.
I was locked in, and I got slung off, and I was like this. looking over here into outer space, and the bull's taking me
bull's
that
going
way.
the other way.
And I realized after, like, that I was just holding on.
Yeah.
And so when I let go, or the guy, the bullfighter kind of helped me, it was like, whoa, like that's, and my hand was kind of stuck too, because
I just got to go back to that opening one where you ran up to the fence, and I bet like everybody's laughing their ass off, right?
It's like,
the bull standing there, and they're looking at you like, what?
100 yards away. It's
Yeah.
just standing up, climbs
So
up
that
on
goes back to like character. The more that I'm around them,
Yeah.
there are bulls who like to take their victory lap, right? Especially like in the PBR, you got a crowd. They kind of like to,
funny.
show
Yeah.
off, like, oh, look at me, right?
Yeah.
And then you have some that as soon as you get bucked off, the rider gets bucked off, then they go right back into the chute. They
know the drill.
They go into the bag. And then you have some that are like, hey, you got me, I'm fixing to get you. You better be on your toes.
Yeah.
The bullfighters or the bull rider, so they'll look back and they'll try to get you.
Yeah.
So which is all fun. So when you go back to the practice pins, and you don't get on a PBR level, high level bull every single time.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're practicing, you don't always want to spar the best kayak.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you want to work on technique.
Exactly.
You want the
So
ability
you'll
to work on
You're
technique.
amateur. You're
Yeah.
I got to try this new move out, right? So you get on bulls that are like, as soon as they get done, they just kind of stand there and it's like, hey, get to the back, or they'll go back there, or they just kind of give you a nice, they got good rhythm.
Yeah.
So you practice rhythm, or, when the first bull that I got on, I come to realize real fast that that's what they put all the beginners on, which is, of
it's
course.
like the pony ride.
Seems fair.
But when I started riding, I would ride it around the whole pin. I'm like, I'm feeling good. And they're like, dude, you're getting it, and then when I get on bigger, badder bulls, I'm like, that thing, like, I should have been doing that good, right? So like, you would never let me, if I wasn't doing that, you would never let me on something like this, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been on some pretty bad bulls, right? Like, or I shouldn't. Pretty ranked. That's what they say. Like, you're a ranked bull. You're
bull.
up
Okay.
there, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking bad to the bone type
Yeah.
deal. But I've got on some pretty ranked bulls. But I've also, when I started, it was just,
Of course, right? You're not gonna, like you said, you're not gonna. Well, like someone's. Not
You're
gonna,
earning it. You're working your way up.
right.
Yeah.
And then that's another thing.
So you
like,
getting that
when
same
we would
adrenaline, by the way?
practice after, we'd be in the pins feeding them, rubbing them down.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, some of them are just that, like, job's done. We get to eat now. It's like, good job today.
Yeah.
You're
That's
always
their
on your
work.
toes by all means,
Yeah.
but it's like, man, they're super like, dang, you don't walk into a pin and them try to, run after you. Now that would be like a bullfighter's bull, right? So they breed these ones to buck. Because some you'll tie up and they just stand there. They're like, no, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not going to take that to a PBR event. It's bloodline and all that good stuff. And then you have like the fighting bulls. Yeah. They're smaller, faster, more agile, and they will chase you down if you run in their pin. So that's their job. They know what they're doing. And it's that's like, so the different breeds, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're getting that same sort of adrenaline rush, that newness that you had? Like you said, you've done fighting for quite a while. You're getting a little burned out because it's not necessarily the fighting itself; it's the business of fighting that feels like you get burned out.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. That's a great point.
Because I think it is, right? You have to figure out the card. Somebody gets injured or something's going on. You're going to, somebody's setting up money to do this fight, but then that falls through. It's like, you just want to fight. I mean, that's
right.
It feels like on the bull riding, it seems from you like the feedback, the essence that you're getting is like, you're excited. Like, this is a whole world of not understanding what's going on. That is something you have to conquer. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I enjoy doing this stuff. The older that I get, kind of like we were talking about earlier, is where I don't get into that mindset of like, you're older, you need to settle down, you need to get a job, you need to have family, you need to do this. And it's like, well, that's your vision of living life, right? But mine is getting on this bull that could take me out, or anybody that's within 10 feet of it. It's like, it just keeps that drive of life really alive, that I've heard fizzles out. The older you get, the less testosterone. It's life, like a 90-year-old guy is not going to be itching to get on a bull, so I know that time is coming. I'm going to get that shot of adrenaline or that rush of life wherever I can, as long as I can, until I'm just not feeling it anymore. So yeah, it really does. And it's new. I like, I like new things. I don't like bad new things. Right.
Well, challenging new things.
Like,
you want to learn. You have to use your mind. You have to use your body. You're physically, you're active. It's a lot of dopamine dumps.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the adrenaline has got to be fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, you can apply that same skill set you have, but now you're a neophyte when it comes to like the education of it. To your point, you have the physical ability to do it. I mean, you're in great shape. You know what you're doing. You fight often. I mean, you can physically get on that bull, but it's your education in understanding the mastery of that. And it seems like that's what you get like fed on. Like, oh, I can do that now. Now I know I can do that. Let's figure out how I do that better. How do I do it, more efficiently? Do you do a stare down on the bull too? Do you try to do the little? Do you do that?
It's over in paces.
Yeah. So my coach, Justin McBride, world champion bull rider. Got coach of the year this year.
Nice.
Yeah, we won as a team. The first ever, team series in PBR. He told me this little trick that he would do. So you have to adjust your rope. The rope is adjustable. So if you get a bigger bull, you got to loosen it up. And so because you want your rosin and where you hold the rope to match up every single time.
Yeah.
So a smaller bull, you're gonna make your ropes smaller, shorter.
Yeah.
And for a bigger rope or a bigger bull, you can adjust it, right? So what he would do as like a psychological mindset with him and the bull, which is kind of funny, I thought, was he would when he got done riding, he would, you clean all the rosin off your rope. So next time it's like, it's not all built up, gunky and whatever. And so when he would put his rope back, he would make it pretty big, right? So then he would go and he would put it on his bull. They're like, this is your bull. You're up in 4 or 5, right? And he'd put it big. So when he put it on the bull, and you always, pull it as tight as you can to say, so you do it in the back, like 5 bulls up. Okay. So then once you get there, it's already set, and then you can just
adjust and go.
Right. Yeah. And so he would make it bigger. So when he put it on the bull and tighten it up, he'd be like, "Oh, you're not as big as I thought." Right? So it's like
talking smack to the bull.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, it's also psychological. Then he's telling himself it's not that big.
It's not that big of a deal.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. So then he would make it smaller and get it just right, just like he liked it.
That is funny.
I like that.
So I kind of took that as like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right. And so I use things like that, or like I like to kind of stand by him and be like, you're not that big. Yeah. Or like get up behind the chutes where I'm looking down at him. I'm like, small back.
Yeah.
Like, your horns aren't that big. Yeah. And like kind of talk to him like that, It's like, but then once I'm in there, I'm like, easy.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do this real, You'll see
I'm
guys
saying
kind
this out of respect. So.
8 seconds.
Right.
8 seconds.
You'll see
work
guys
with
kind
me,
of
I work with
spur
you.
them a little bit and try to, like get them ready. But so I kind of do that a little bit.
So PBR is now the first year they've gone to a team event, right? So this
Correct.
is, and I think it seems from the feedback, it's really, really popular.
Yeah, I think so. I think, with anything, you kind of have those old school guys who are a little stuck in their ways and like, this is
from an audience perspective, though.
But from an audience and from America loves team sports.
Yeah.
And it's easier to get behind a team than it is an individual. Like if you think of all the individual stuff, it's not the most popular thing watched, right? So basketball, football, so on and so forth. Golf is not. You definitely have your fans, but it's not like
the irony is
biggest.
the Live golf course is actually going to team events, right? So they're USA
or your Davis Cup, and all the other stuff. Same thing.
So
That's
they try to make
the big popular
sport a team event.
NASCAR or race car driving in general. So, but I think the feedback has been really good so far.
Well, I guess my question to you is that you since grade school, you have been doing an individual sport.
Yeah.
Right.
Now you're on a team.
Now, not just on it. So you're still doing an individual thing, right? You individually have to do well on that bull. But now you're participating in points for not just you, but your team. How is that? Are you doing okay with that idea of a team?
How's it working out for you?
How's that working out for you? Do you have to adjust your mindset on that? Is that something that's because it's literally a new thing. You've been
right
for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
So now you're suddenly
30 years.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
22.
Yeah, 22 years.
20,
18.
So I had that this exact conversation with my dad, and I just kind of looked at it as like, man, this is just helping me grow as a person, right? Because I've always just kind of looked out for myself or the people that I have around me. You know, I'm very aware of what's going on, and I take care of people in my circle, right? And I've never been on a team, never really liked being on a team because I'm like, dude, you
exactly.
you know? But because wrestling was like that, it was an individual thing, but we would compete against another team as a team, right?
Sure.
You could win your match, but then we could still lose as a team. It's like, dude, if you would have won, we could have won this. You know, so going into it this year, honestly, I just kind of got to see like how this all worked. It was new to everybody, right? And I rode in some of the lower level events, but I didn't ride with the actual team. So I was just kind of there to help, support. They needed something, I'd be there because I'm just learning and taking it all in. But we had lost some ones where I'm like, dude, you had that. You know, I would tell them like in a nice way, but I'm like, dude, you kind of gave up. Like, dude, you were riding it. But at being a rider, you do understand it happens just like that. Right. So it's like, I get it. It takes 1 second for the bull just to roll its shoulders and you're off. And as soon as they shoot out left, when you think they're going right,
you're done.
You're flying again. Right. So, this year was fun just because our team did come together and get closer as the season went on.
Well, to your point, you really got a bunch of individuals now are the first time becoming a team, right?
Right.
You guys won, right? So
we did win.
And what's the team name?
Nashville Stampede.
Nashville Stampede.
Yeah, which is cool. Is like how I got picked up by
right here.
The team. From where I'm from.
You're
so
at home.
It's definitely a learning experience, but I chose to let it make me better as a person and start to encourage people and what I've always done for teammates, you know, like on the same fight team or training out of the same gym. But this is like, it's all right, dude. Next weekend, you know?
Well, and I think to your point, it's not just, hey, you know, I'm playing basketball, I'm playing against another person. I mean, the level of intensity that you're dealing with too, like you're dealing with people's like literally lives, right? I mean, I don't want to make it dramatic, but that's a very snotty, pissed off bull that if bad things happen, you're going to the hospital. If I get playing basketball and I get a hip check, that's one thing. I'm pissed off. But I mean, I think there's got to be more of a bonding moment on that one because you are dealing with such a high risk sport, right?
Right. So. And so for me, I'm like, I want to be the risk taker, right? So like, I don't know, like, okay, so this is probably weird, but like when we won, everybody's running around and jumping. And I was, of course, happy for all of our riders because I've seen them train consistently and get better and not make rides throughout the year. And I'm like, dude, you're a world champion. And, you know, we as a team should be doing better because we were almost in last like the whole year, you know? And it's like, if we can just all put it together, we would be unstoppable, right? And so we were progressively getting there. And then we were able to put it together when it meant the most. And I'm like, wow, this is what real high level guys do. And we just showed that, right? These dudes are high level. They're very disciplined. They take this serious. And when it meant the most, they rose to the occasion, which gave me so much respect for the team and the coach and, you know, everybody that was involved in it. Right. And so that was amazing. But I was like, I didn't get to ride. You know? So I'm like, I'm happy it's cool, but like I wanted to participate, right? And feel like, and you got everybody like, dude, you were part of the team, you know, you showed up, you practiced, you encourage guys, like, like be happy with it. But just who I am doesn't really allow me to really feel that success that these other guys really deserve.
Sure.
You know? So that's the goal for this upcoming season. It's like, you're not feeling good? I'll take your spot.
I'll jump in there. Let me go.
So did they give you any shit at being an MMA guy? I mean, do they kind of like try to bust you a little bit on that because you're like, oh, well, this guy, you know, like, I have to think that they're trying to.
I think it'll be once if
you have a higher proving
and
ground.
When they do see me again, right? Because I was just there for a year or for that season, for last season from July to November. So one of the coolest moments, probably of my entire life, was. You know, these guys don't really know who I am. They're not understanding why I'm here. Why did I get picked to be on a professional bull riding team? I have no bull riding experience. And they're like, oh, he's a fighter. Okay, that doesn't really mean anything. Then they find out that I'm in the UFC or I was in the UFC.
And you're like,
now the level of respect goes way up. They're looking on YouTube at my videos, you know, and who I am and what I've done. And a lot of bull riders, UFC fans, right? So they're like, they're like, okay, now I'm gaining the respect of my team.
Yeah.
Because one, I'm showing up, getting on bulls that they're like, you should not be getting on this, right?
Yeah.
But my coach is like, yep, you're getting on it. You know, we got to see where
Jump
you're
on
at.
it. Yeah.
Right. So I have now gained their respect of willingness and wanting to get on these bulls that in real life, I should not be getting on. You're just not at this level. It's like, I know you have fight skills, but it's like me putting you in the cage and saying, keep your hands up.
Yeah,
You'll do
just-
good. You know?
Just 8 seconds. You just
Right.
got to hold on for 8 seconds.
Exactly. So that's kind of what I was doing, and they had respect for that. And then when they saw that I was in the UFC and I'm making this transition, then it goes up even more. So, and that took kind of half the season to figure out. And then so once my team was like, hey, we're rolling with this badass, you know, we're all standing behind the chutes, and before the show starts, you know, that everybody's in the back, and then they call out by teams, and everybody goes and they do the fireworks and fire and everything. And they're passing my phone around, showing all these guys, you know, that my fights. Yeah. And they're like, hey, this guy, this is him. And, you know, it's my fastest knockout. And, or my head kick over Nicolau Mateus. And I think I was a huge I was the underdog the whole time. But in Canada, sorry, I was having a blank there.
There you go.
And so, they're just all passing around, and it was just like, now I'm accepted. Now these other guys from other teams are like, hey, you know, if you want to come train with us, we got these bulls, you know, we'll work out, we'll do a scene, we'll ride horseback, you know, bareback. And that gives you kind of a feel of like a real animal and just like all these scenes and I was like, wow, now I feel like,
You've been welcomed in.
I've been welcomed in, right? Because
nice.
I, you know, everybody's like, why don't you wear like a big belt buckle, you know? And I'm like, you gotta earn it.
Yeah.
I got one that my grandpa gave me. You know, I'm gonna wear that, which I did all season. But it's like, no, I don't want something until I've really earned it. You know, and I think there's a little respect there. It's kind of like, at first, guys are looking at me like, what is that?
And I think your work ethic too, right? Because of your work ethic, maybe. As you said, there, you know, the work ethic may not be the same, where you can kind of bring that in to your point, because you're physically getting prepared to be able to do these things. It's not an accident, right? You spent decades, you know, worrying about making sure you're in that shape to be able to do that. So,
absolutely. So I'm showing up, I'm putting the work in, shaking hands. Guys are respecting it. They see where I'm at. They see that I'm working. They see that I want it. And I just kind of stood back and just like, hey, I'm not.
You let it be organic rather than walk in and say, you know,
like, I'm a UFC
I'm kind of
fighter.
a big deal.
Step aside.
It's for, and that's one thing about like creating the character and stuff. I don't know if I said this exactly. It's just so much cooler when I meet somebody and just have like a genuine conversation, and then they find out like, oh my gosh, you know,
here's what you've done.
Now I know you for you, and now you're finding out instead of like this gumption of like, oh, this guy, because I know like I've met guys where they're a star or they have a name or a lot of following, and so I automatically not put them on a pedestal, but I'm like, oh, that's so and so, but I don't know them, right? And so it's just so much cooler meeting somebody, and I'm like, oh, you do this and that, dude, that's awesome, like that's really cool. So that's cool. That all happened organically. Now this year, you know, if I can get to that level, which I really believe that I can, headed back to Texas tomorrow. So I think I can get there, and then, you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, and all the hard work puts in and pays off. I'll be riding at the Bridgestone in August for the team. That's a goal of mine this year or next. God willing that I can walk by then. I have my arms and shoulders attached, but just all hard work and respect where it's where it's given, you know, and earned.
I'm a huge fan of yours, just as a person, not just as a fighter, but just the way you approach stuff, the way, like, you're humble when you need to be, you know, cocky when you can be, that kind of thing, which is awesome. And I know I'm a big fan. I'm rooting for you. So
dude,
I appreciate it. Yeah.
It's been fantastic to get to know you. And I'm like, we'll be there in August for sure.
Absolutely.
I'll try to get tickets and go.
Absolutely.
Gotta follow this through and kind of watch all of it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm all in. And because I've had other opportunities outside of fighting and bull riding, right?
Yeah.
Which would, with being 34 years old, which would make sense of kind of like, okay, this is better. You make more money, blah, blah, blah. But like, I got to see this through.
Yeah.
I started this, and this wakes me up in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, I've done plenty of jobs where I'm just like, gotta go do
phone
this.
now. Yeah.
I've never like woke up and been like, I gotta go train to fight. You know, it's always been like,
let's get up. Here
I'm
it
gonna
is.
get beat
Let's
up.
do it.
Yeah, let's go
That's
do this. Yeah,
That's cool.
I'm gonna outwork this guy. So that's how bull riding is for me right now. And
Yeah.
as long as that's there, I'm gonna continue to chase that down.
Cool,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, taking time. I know you're busy. Like you said, you're heading down to Texas, get ready to go. So,
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and everything. Tons of respect. Tons of respect on everything. So appreciate it all. Everyone, give us your likes and thumbs up, 5 stars, all the good stuff that helps the algorithm grow. More people can see this. We'll be on our YouTube channel for those who can actually see us, hopefully if the cameras are working properly. We'd like to thank the coffee shop here at 2nd and Bridge in downtown Franklin, which we love their coffee. We're dealing with the sound, and it's getting a little better. But we love the environment. We love the place. So thank you all again. Appreciate you all. And until the next one, we'll catch you then.